everybody. Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts on this very icy and cold Monday. We're going to talk a ton about what we experienced over the weekend across much of the Great Lakes region and the Midwest. Huge snowstorm. Significant snowfall totals, especially here locally.
Yeah, and something we don't see too often this time of year, which Tom Walks is going to talk about coming up. But we know all too well the cleanup is underway, and it's still going to continue as crews are helping to dig people out of the snowstorm. Department of Public Works officials say that they have 150 workers handling 7,000 miles of roadway. Again, which is why they can't always get to your street right at the front of the system. But that can take anywhere up to 48 hours to clear. To help clear roads quicker, garbage and recycling crews are reassigned to help with clearing snow. So garbage and recycling pickups are suspended for today. I've definitely seen a few people with their bins still on the corner.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay, because DPW says that if you set your bins out regularly on collection day and you have to clear the snow and ice from the top of them as well as around them, that they will eventually be able to get them up. Now again, bins that aren't accessible will not be collected. So once it's cleared, leave it there. DPW will pick it up, but it might be a little later than usual. Crews will resume pickup tomorrow and will work extended shifts to complete any delayed collections. If you're heading out on the roads, best thing to do is stay alert. Slushy snow, which we were talking about yesterday, did freeze overnight, and it's made some patches of the roadway slippery. I dealt with some of that on my drive this morning. But from the better temperatures, we spoke with one man this morning who removed snow independently. He says he's clearing the ice today, and that's going to be the biggest challenge.
It's packed. It's the nice wet kind of snow, so take some good heaving to get it moving.
Just how you wanted to spend your Sunday.
Exactly, the cardio you all dream of.
Whoa, I'm just intrigued by that.
We're looking at the shovel. It's some new way it's supposed
Give me
to
one of those.
take some of the stress off your back, so I'll send you a link.
For those of us who don't own snow plows,
Right.
I see all of my neighbors with their snow plows out. And can I just tell you, I think people who own not snow plows, snow blowers, are the happiest people in the world.
Oh, they are.
They
it's
just
a toy.
they get to bring their snow blower out and they do the entire neighborhood.
I know.
I'm like, this is a joy for you.
Like, I can't just do my property.
Exactly.
I got to keep the joy going and do everyone else's. It's great though. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. Shout out to my neighbor Chris, who did my entire driveway.
Oh, so
while my
sweet.
husband and I just watched from the window.
Oh, you'll have to bring them some cookies or something to thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the snow from the storm, of course, has settled, and there are some new concerns, though, with temperatures. But power shouldn't be one of those problems, thankfully. Now, We Energy shared some photos of crews working to restore service after and during the storm. They say 50,000 people should have their lights back on now. As of this morning, there's no major outages to report.
That's always a good thing.
Great news there.
Yeah.
Now, in Milwaukee County, another snow emergency is set to be in place again tonight. So here's what that means for you. Starting tonight at 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Tuesday, all vehicles must be parked on the odd-numbered side of the street by 10 p.m. Now, if you don't, you could face fines up to $150. Also today, the City of Milwaukee's winter parking rules will officially be in effect. I'm guessing that's because it's December 1st. So be sure to check out the posted signs on the street to see if you can park there. These winter parking rules will stay in effect until March 1st. You can sign up for parking alerts through the city, by the way. Just head to our Fox Local app for more information.
Yeah, that's always good to know. I mean, I will be honest that I did get a ticket last year, but sometimes it's very confusing because there's so many different signs.
Yeah.
And depending on where you are, you don't just want to aimlessly wander around at night. So I've had this new thing now where if I'm going to go somewhere, get there a little earlier in the daylight or maybe travel a different time of the day and just check your signs. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I know they're also really trying to work hard in the city to clear some of the streets so that way cars are not blocked in. And as that snow is hardening and turning into more of a block of ice, the sooner we can get it out, the better, because some cars may be stuck there for a while.
Exactly. So heed those warnings, of course. All right. Well, frigid temperatures affect some of the most vulnerable people in our community, and there are options if you do need to get out of the cold. So more really good information for you. Warming shelters are open from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day through the end of March. There are centers all across Milwaukee County. So keep in mind that some are open for men or women only, but there are some that are open for families as well. Be sure to call a location before you visit. You can also call 211 to find help in your area. So all stuff to keep in mind. Again, this cold, it's not going anywhere, unfortunately. We have maybe one day where highs could reach freezing, but otherwise an even bigger drop by next Thursday. So it's not going anywhere.
No, and there's a lot, but we're going to continue to talk about the cold because that's going to keep most of the snow on the ground through the upcoming week. And Steph, you had something really unique happen. You had a report that you sent to us of some mixing near the lakefront.
Yeah.
We also, again, had our fantastic Fox local coverage all weekend long. Ben Handelman and Ashley Sears were also out, and they reported and sent in some photos where they had icing on the trees. So here's a look at that. I mean, you can clearly see that it wasn't just the snow. There were the icy chunks. I mean, was this very similar where you were as well?
You know, I didn't really see it in the moment. I think this is after the fact too. So I think for us it was, and we live very close to Ben and Ashley as well, so not surprising that we both saw the same thing. It was late Saturday evening. My husband were out after we put the kids to bed. So this was probably 9-10 o'clock doing some shoveling, and we noticed it change over to a little bit of rain snow mix. So I didn't see it on my actual branches, but I think by the time I was out the next morning, the sun had already been out and everything was starting to melt already. But I do think there were quite a few lakeshore communities that saw at least a brief period of some of that.
And of course that can make more treacherous conditions. I know Ben was worried about his poor bushes that were completely drooped over, hoping his Christmas lights were okay.
I mean, it was a heavy snow too.
It was. And some of the heavier snow, even that mixing, lowered some of the snowfall totals near the lakefront. So we're going to get to, again, more recap on that. Of course, we want to look at some of the positives, though. We had a
positives.
I love it. Positives. We had a lot of viewers send in these photos. So just take a look. Again, thank you to everyone who had pictures of not only cats, dogs, a lot of these
four-legged
pups.
friends.
I know. And
you were having a field day with this on Saturday.
So much fun.
Lisa posted something on our FOX6 Weather Facebook page, and then I think at last check we had 300 comments from people with pictures of their animals in the snow.
People love taking photos of their dogs in the snow. I mean, kids are great too. They love it. Some dogs, I know one of them was actually from a warmer climate that they adopted. So a lot of these dogs had their first snow experience.
Oh, that's so adorable.
So they're just having a field day. And what better way to allow them to go out, not just in a little bit of snow, but a lot of snow.
Almost a foot of snow in some spots.
Well, you're a dog owner. The hardest thing, right, has to be drying off the paws and having that soaking wet coat.
Yes.
I mean, how do you dry them? Just with a towel? Do you use a hairdryer?
Well, you know, we shovel the grass in a certain spot for our dogs. So I have a miniature dachshund, so the snow is already taller than her to begin with. So we have to shovel a little area for her to even go outside. So just, you know, quick wiping off with the paws. But there are dogs with the long fur who the snow just it's like balls of snow on their fur.
No, and then you go inside, and if they don't get that off of them, then it goes on the couch, it drips on the floor.
That I could not imagine.
I could only imagine your dog jumping into the snow and just,
you
see those videos where they disappear.
No, she goes inside. It's a struggle.
Oh, gosh.
Love you, PETA.
Yeah, right. Oh, so cute. Well, you know, unfortunately, and usually, it was very early to have this kind of system with very heavy snow. We have Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks, who's going to dive into more of what happened this weekend.
Well, what a snowstorm we had over the weekend. I want to review with you here what this looked like as it came in from the southwest. This is what we refer to as a panhandle hook snowstorm. Now, we haven't heard about that really in several years. We have not had a good panhandle hook snowstorm in several years around here. And why is this significant? Well, the area of low pressure, you see it here rolling right over Chicago. So it started out in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, why it's referred to as a panhandle hook, and then it made its way to the northeast over Kansas City and then over Chicago. And what makes this unique is a couple of things. Number one, the storm track being right over Chicago lends us to the greatest amount of snow. Number two, because of the Gulf down to the south and the Gulf moisture, it brings up all of that moisture to the north. So let me zoom this in a little more so you can see what it looked like here for southern Wisconsin. And watch here, as the low moved from Kansas City to Chicago, you'll see the pivot, poof, right there. It kept us in the snow. See the dry air? down to the south, we did not get in on that dry air because of the proximity of that area of low pressure. And this is why many areas saw a foot of snow out of this, because we were perfectly placed, plus we had the moisture and we had the cold air as well. And that's really important, because when you're talking about snowstorms, you've got to have all of the ingredients, right? You've got to have the moisture, you've got to have the lift, and you have to have the cold air in place. And that's what makes this somewhat unusual for a November snowstorm for us. In fact, this is going to be about top 6 of the snowiest Novembers on record. This is rare. In fact, to get over 8 to 10 inches of snow in one single snowstorm typically only happens a couple of times in a given winter here in southeastern Wisconsin, maybe 2-3 times. This is usually a January, February, or even early March type snow for us. Why is that? Well, that's because the cold air, the real cold air, usually doesn't come in until after Christmas. So we don't have a lot of those ingredients typically together. In fact, how many times can you think of in November, December, where it's even rain or freezing rain or more sleet than it is snow, right? Because we're still so warm. Now, snow-wise with the lake was also quite interesting with this as well, which led to some higher totals in a few areas, but the warm lake also led to some lower totals right along the lakeshore. So really an interesting, unique, and somewhat unusual event for us, both in storm track and also given the time of year that it's really so early in the season to get a monster snowstorm like we had.
Oh, sorry.
We have our engineers
We're not
here.
telling you to wait.
We're telling our lovely engineers to wait, so they're checking on stuff. Of course, yeah. So we've been talking about this system, and Steph, you're going to have more updates in our regional weather outlook now of even more snow to come.
Right.
I mean, are you ready?
It is. It's a really active week and a really cold week ahead. And this graphic, I think, just really paints the picture of the last 48 hours. I mean, you can barely make out, the states across the upper plains. So many storm reports over the weekend, really starting late last week over the holiday. We had been watching this potential storm all of last week. And of course, it brought in significant amounts of storm reports when it comes to especially heavy snow and just some really high snowfall totals across parts of southern Wisconsin into northern Illinois, but as far west as the Dakotas and parts of Iowa and Minnesota. Now, specifically here in southeast Wisconsin, hard to put it all on one graphic, right? We got a ton of reports, but I think this does a good job of showing, the spots that picked up over 12 inches worth of snow, which we knew was going to be a possibility in some spots. Look at some of these areas. I mean, we're talking Racine, West Bend, parts of Milwaukee County, Mequon, Franksville. I mean, a lot of spots picked up some of those high totals, and just a little bit less than that, you get places like Eagle and East Troy, Economowoc, Lake Mills, Pleasant Prairie, and then a little bit lighter, hard to say it light, lower totals in some lakeshore communities because of the compaction and just some of that wetter snow. So you get Kenosha, Pewaukee, Wales, Dousman, 7 to about 9 inches. But again, this was a really big storm, and Tom just mentioned it. It's pretty unusual to have this big of a storm this early in the season. In fact, we picked up our first, inch of snow. Obviously, we saw more than that, but even a few days earlier than normal. On average, our first inch of snow is tomorrow, December 2nd. So pretty impressive there. On average, our first bigger snowstorm, so 5 inches plus, early January. So again, just puts into perspective that this was an early storm, especially compared to the last couple of years where our snowfall totals were just very, very low. Now, there is another storm system down towards the south. We're going to get in here in southern Wisconsin, the northern edge of it. This is actually going to bring bigger impacts to Illinois and especially areas down towards the south. I mean, look at some of this freezing rain and sleet that you see across the mid-Mississippi Valley right now, specifically across Arkansas. So there are a ton of areas under winter weather advisories right now. Some of these southernmost states, that's more so for freezing rain and icing potential. There is the chance for some snowfall accumulation just south of us in northern Illinois, but also here in southern Wisconsin. We're not under an advisory right now, but there is still the chance chance for us to see, maybe 1 inch to 2 inches from Milwaukee and points towards the south. Also, another storm system brewing towards the northwest, parts of Idaho, Montana, under another winter weather advisory for some additional snow. Now, notice here in the next couple of hours, we'll likely start to see more of this snow rolling in here by, I'd say, mid-afternoon at the latest, but it's really going to favor just southern Wisconsin for the most part, in and out pretty quickly. In fact, it should be done by midnight tonight. That being said, it is still going to impact the evening commute, so make sure you know there is more light snow on the way for the evening commute. Tuesday looks just fine, maybe a late day flurry. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at Wednesday for a quick clipper system. As we just talked about, again, we'll watch some of these southern areas, especially near the Illinois state line, for maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches worth of snowfall accumulation tonight or this afternoon. Otherwise, Tuesday is looking dry. Now, heading on into Wednesday, a weaker system works its way on through. Likely won't see much accumulation with that, but it is yet another chance for at least some flurries and patchy light snow across our area. Now to the cold, because we mentioned earlier it's not really going anywhere. Temperatures in Milwaukee and across much of the states only in the teens and 20s. Look at Bismarck, North Dakota, air temperature of 5 degrees right now. So forecast high temperatures, much cooler towards the northwest. Here we're going to stay in the upper 20s, but notice the next couple of days we're actually going to drop a bit tomorrow with colder wind chills as the wind picks up. Our one chance to reach freezing is Wednesday, but it's going to be so windy that our feel-like temperatures will be significantly lower, and then behind that incoming system we are going to drop even more heading on into Thursday. In fact, Thursday could be a good 25 degrees cooler than normal for this time of year, and barely any improvement heading on into the weekend. We're also watching another chance for snow over the weekend too, so it is still setting up to be an active week, at least every other couple days.
Yeah, very December-like, right?
Yeah.
But we're significantly colder than where we should be this time of year. And Thursday and Friday morning, we're talking about wind chills that could be 10 to 15 below zero. I mean, coats and all the winter gear, instead of like last month where we pulled it out, then put it away, then pulled it out again.
Exactly.
We're going to consistently need that as we head through the rest of the week. So thanks, Steph. Of course, the cold and snow, well, that's helping the construction of ice castles at the state fairgrounds in Minnesota.
Beautiful.
Ice artisans will be growing, harvesting, and placing up to 10,000 icicles each day over the next several weeks. They are fused together and sprayed with water to create a towering frozen fortress. This is expected to grow to heights up to 20 feet tall. The Winter Wonderland is set to open in early January, depending on weather conditions, of course. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. Now, we used to have this. It was in Lake Geneva, correct?
Yep.
We haven't been so lucky the past couple years. We've actually had to have that close as most of them melted. But hey, if you don't mind taking a trip to Minnesota, you can see them there.
There you go. Live look outside, a very snowy scene still here in the Milwaukee area. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more Wisconsin weather experts.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Of course, we've been recapping a lot about the winter snow system we just had and the impacts that are still carrying on to this week. But I think what a lot of people have on their mind with the snow and the cold is Christmas.
Absolutely.
And the holiday season, right? The countdown to Christmas is on. And the big item on many people's to-do list, it's getting the tree set up. But it brings up an annual question. Do you get a real tree or just keep the artificial one? FOX6's Ted Linder takes a closer look at some recommendations that could help make the decision easier.
As more families start preparing to decorate for the holidays, many are facing the choice of whether to pick out a real or artificial Christmas tree for the season.
There's a lot of tradition and family stories and other really important things built into that.
If sustainability is important to you, Dr. Jennifer Russell, Associate Professor at Virginia Tech, says a main factor to take into consideration is how long you're planning on using your tree for.
So real trees are fantastic. They make our houses smell great. They're bringing nature into our home, but they have a life cycle of 1 year, right? So they'll have to grow for 7 to 8 years to be used once, and then they're going to be disposed. And the advantage of an artificial tree in that context is that it's very energy intensive and high impact to make that tree the first time, but then you can use it for many, many years. And so it's much more durable.
Because of the plastic and metal materials in artificial trees, Dr. Russell says they should be kept and reused for a minimum of 7 years in order to have lower overall impacts on the environment compared to buying a real tree every year.
There's such a high upfront investment of energy and impact, but the longer that you use it, the more you can kind of amortize or to allocate those impacts over time compared to a real Christmas tree.
Meanwhile, Dr. Russell also recommends avoiding artificial trees with lights built in to help expand their life cycles.
Bulbs are more likely to go, and electrical wires are more likely to be degraded over time.
Ted Linder, Fox News.
Oh, those pictures look so nice. Well, as you bring Christmas trees into your homes, some pesky allergens could be coming in as well. So experts call it Christmas tree syndrome. It comes from mold spores on the trees that are dormant in the cold, but once those trees come into a warm home, those spores become active again. Aside from the trees, holiday allergy symptoms can also come from pet dander or dust on holiday decorations. As far as treatment options, experts say avoiding the allergens is the most effective, followed by allergy medications.
Oh, I definitely could see that. I don't know. So I just told you I got my first real Christmas tree, and it smells
amazing.
Delightful. Like, there is nothing better when I'm walking in. I think if I mix that maybe with some like gingerbread Christmas cookies or something, the combination,
amazing.
Everyone says you can't beat a real tree. So I've been asking Steph some tips and tricks on how do I care for it, because I have no idea. Well, one thing that we are continuing to talk about, of course, featuring you tomorrow, it's going to be the final week of our 41st annual Coats for Kids campaign, and we really need your help. You can join FOX6 and Landmark Credit Union for a special drive-through collection event tomorrow. Of course, our own amazing Stephanie Baracella will be out in Brookfield to accept your donations of new and gently loved coats. This will be tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can head over to the Landmark Credit Union headquarters on Executive Drive. The first 200 cars at the drive-through, and that you'll have to donate at least 2 coats for, you can get a voucher for 2 tickets to an upcoming Admiral game. So hopefully you'll have some chilly weather. You'll be bundling up there, but it's a great way to meet you, to again give back, and have your kids say hi and maybe get some hockey tickets.
There you go. Come say hi, everybody. We are going to take a quick break. We'll see you in just 2 minutes right here on Fox Local. Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Well, we talked a lot about the snowstorm that we had over the past couple of days. If you have any weather questions, remember, we have this fancy QR code that you can scan, and you can fill out this form, ask your questions, submit your pictures if you have questions about clouds or anything. I mean, I know there's always clouds over the lake that look really cool this time of year. Ask away. We'd love to dedicate some time to answering those questions right here on Wisconsin Weather Experts.
And we'll, of course, be talking about more snow in the upcoming days.
We will be.
So stay tuned. And again, stay warm this week.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in again. We'll see you right back here tomorrow starting at noon.